Hey guys, we're back, your resident Boleros, and we're officially on Final Four watch. This will be exciting. Hey Sam, hey Gab, what's up?
What's up?
Hello! Welcome
That's a
back, everyone.
UAAP basketball.
And
Actually,
NBA
ang daming
playoffs,
playoffs
actually.
na nangyayari.
Yeah.
Medyo saturated kami with a lot of basketball games. So, before anything else, because we're recording this on a Saturday, we want to give a happy birthday to our VP Lenny. Hopefully, soon to be
Our
President Lenny.
president.
Ah,
Happy birthday po.
happy birthday,
Happy
ma'am.
birthday, Madam. Madam VP.
Yes, Madam VP.
Ipapanood ko nga to yung kay Trisha. Trisha, i-shoutout mo yung papanood mo nga sa nanay mo.
Kay Doc.
Oo nga, baka naman. Baka naman, Doc
Ah,
Trisha. Makiki-happy
ano
birthday.
namin.
But yeah, so the people in Pasay, hopefully you're all having fun there. But on to the games, we had a grueling week, but super exciting matchups all throughout. Parang ang daming game of the week finalists, honestly. But for this episode, since ang daming nangyari, we're gonna shake things up a bit. You're not gonna hear any of our ballers and boleros. Gab has a surprise for us. So,
No,
bahala
gusto
na
ba
kung
natin
anong...
to, Dale? Do we really trust Gab and
wholesome naman, wholesome
surprises?
naman, wholesome.
Ang bilis nga parang
Please, Gab.
nabudol
Please.
tayo. Wala man lang nag-defend sa atin na mag-no, ganyan.
Parang
Pero
wala
sige,
tayong
so Gab,
choice eh.
All right. So, uh, I came up with this new segment called Roundtable Bolahan. Now we don't have to debate. Just me asking a few questions to the group. Well, to the group, to the two of you, and let's see what you guys will have for us. And for my first question, since you mentioned game of the week, the second round I think has stepped up in terms of basketball. There have been a
oh
lot of close
yes.
games.
Oh yes.
Yung in this past week, and teams have found their rotations, teams have found their identity. So for my first question, if you were to award a game of the week for this week, who would you give? Which game would you choose as the game of the week? And there are a lot of good games. So let's start with Dale, since you brought it up.
Buti na lang may notes ako dyan kasi nga ang dami kong finalists. Actually, yung naalala nyo ba yung Tuesday game, the 21st? Parang except
Okay.
the UST Ateneo game na 50 points, parang all three, yung sunod-sunod,
Yes,
grabe.
I
Grabe yung
watched
day
all
na
those
yon.
3 games.
That was such a good day for basketball. Oh my God. So, I'm actually gonna go with the UP versus Adamson. Very
Wow.
surprising kasi natalo kami doon.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, very surprising. Pero honestly, ang hirap hindi mag-cheer for Adamson doon sa game na yon because we were doing not really good with our plays and we were not taking care of the ball. But just to go back a bit to that game, diba? So I felt like the other Adamson players are starting to step up. Obviously, them winning a couple of games at the start of the round. I think I mentioned this last episode that will help them get their rhythm, get settled into whatever place, diba? So, Magbuhos, Zaldivar, and Manzano all stepped in. Um, of course, Jerome, would you still expect whatever numbers he will put up, but that's expected. But I'm glad to see the other players finally, parang they're more comfortable in their roles. The first half of UP, parang nagka-drought kami doon. I think Adamson had a good run there in the second quarter. But I think that was also the time when Adamson, to me, it felt like they were giving us a dose of our own medicine. Dami nilang steals, they were running, we turned the ball over a lot. And yung running game, parang napunta sa Adamson that game. So, diba, I'm a UP fan, but I was enjoying seeing Adamson do that to us. Diba, medyo masokista, pero it was such a good game for Adamson. And even if the third quarter, Cancino kind of got us back a bit. Meron may flashes of ano siya doon, offense siya in the third quarter. Jerome Lastimosa proved yet again that he is really the Mr. Fourth Quarter. Grabe yung dagger step back niya. Parang it's as clutch as it gets. And after that game, they continued to win, diba? The whole week. They now have like what, a 4-game winning streak. They
4
haven't
games.
lost.
3?
Yeah,
No. 4.
4.
Yeah,
Because
4.
they also won no Holy Week, diba?
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah,
did.
so they haven't lost in the second round.
Yep.
So I felt like that game.
Our Adamson prediction
I
in the first
know.
episode is finally coming into
I
fruition.
know. That's also why parang out of all of
In
my
fairness.
finalists, I picked this game kasi despite us losing, I think this will be obviously this shifted the momentum na parang okay, they won last no Holy Week and then they won another 2-game winning streak. Is this a fluke, 'di ba? But I think with the UP game, it was a statement win. But that's how they call it. Because we're number 2 and wala. Talagang they really outplayed us. So that's my game of the week.
Ang daming notes ni Dale dun. Ano sa
Ang
babanat
ganda
ka?
kasi talaga. Ang ganda
Oh,
talaga nung laro na yun.
Anyway,
Promise.
I was smiling during your notes on the game because it was at this game that I found out that hindi pala Jerome pala.
Yep, Jerome.
Jerome. Walang E.
So,
Walang
oh,
E ba?
Walang,
So
Walang
we have Zave, not Zav, and we have Jerome, not Jerome.
Okay.
One of the
Interesting.
realizations yung from this game. And back to UP, turnovers are a problem nga with UP. And the game a while ago against LaSalle, diba? They almost gave the game away. Frustrate nga ako. Stop turning the ball over!
Diba?
You're up by 10! They just kept on giving the ball to LaSalle, and LaSalle almost pulled it off. The turnovers, grabe. That'll do UP in one of these games. Anyway, Sam, what's your game of the week?
Okay, I think just to repeat what Dale said, I think it's really hard to pick a game of the week for this week because we were really entertained in a lot of the games. So that was the Adamson UP game. We also had the Rosella brothers versus NU. So that was Adamson versus NU, which was also a close game, and then FEU versus NU. I think NU led most of the game. FEU had a bad game. They just bounced back during the fourth quarter. They were saved by Ojula and Torres 3, and I think NU had a couple of chances to sort of close the game, but they couldn't. What else? A bunch of just today, the LaSalle versus UP game I thought was also a very, very exciting game, and they're clearly like the two best teams right under Ateneo. So you always look forward to that game. But you know what? I want to give props to a team that we rarely watch and a team that we rarely talk about and rarely appreciate. So I'm gonna pick LaSalle versus UE as my game of the week. Now, I think I asked you, I asked the two of you, pinanood niyo ba yung game? I think nobody even bothered to watch the game, di ba? Am I right? Am I right?
Nagbuhat na ako noon, sabi ko, this will be a blowout. But there's something about LaSalle.
Facts only.
Lagi silang close.
Facts only.
Kita mo? So I want to give airtime to you, sina Clint Escamis. So, kita mo, may kilala akong
players.
Si Harvey Pagsanghan. I guess just to
meron silang Big 3 light.
Meron.
Big 3 light.
Yung sino yung brothers? Paranada Brothers.
Paranada Bros.
Shout out to Kyle Paranada with the weird shot, but it goes in.
It goes in, oo nga eh. So yeah, so I want to give a shout out, or I want to give props to the UE team. Obviously they lost the game, sayang. You know, hindi naman ako anti Lasal, pero I wanted to give UE the win. That was their closest chance of winning. Para lang may one win sila, no. Pero hindi nangyari. But moral victory, I guess, na they were able to battle it out with Lasal. Sayang kasi they led actually almost the entire game.
The entire game.
Entire second half of the game, I think, or something. But obviously Lasal clamped down on defense. But it was a really, really exciting fourth quarter and overtime. I'm sure napanood niyo yung replays. Sobrang crazy nung game tying shot. Talo na talaga yung UE. They didn't have a timeout. They brought down the ball. It was a broken play. Binato na lang kay, I forget that guy, yung big man nila, Villanueva or something like that.
Beltran.
Beltran yung nag-lay up.
Beltran.
And I think si Beltran only came in because na fouled out na yung main big guy nila. I forget his name. So he fouled out Beltran.
Because Mike Phillips and Balti were hounding them on
exactly.
for rebound.
Right. So Beltran with the game-winning layup, and watching it live, I was watching it. Nag-give up na nga yung dad ko kasi we were cheering for UE. When I was watching it, it looked good yung game-winning shot niya. Pero sa replay, it's so hard to tell. Buti nga the call was counted, no? Kasi I feel like if they called it not counted, they couldn't have overturned it because it was so hard to call eh. So anyway, I think yung isang favorite ko din doon, parang it was Boom and Willie who was calling the game. Tapos sabi ni Boom, I think something like, oh, he barely made it. It barely missed the tip of his fingernails. And then Willie Wilson said, buti na lang nagpasalon siya tonight at nagpagupit ng kuko. Sabi niya, he should tweet out, he should be grateful to the nail salon. Gagano si Willie Wilson. Tawa ako ng tawa.
Tama naman siya.
So sabi niya, buti daw naggupit siya ng kuko that morning. So that was a funny experience. And then I think overtime, again, they lost na. I think parang 20 seconds to go, 5-point lead Lasal. And then wala silang magawang play eh. And then si Pagsanghan na lang drove to the basket and then did a layup. So 3-point lead. And then they steal the ball. And then Pagsanghan drives to the basket again and takes a difficult layup. And then suddenly it's like a 1-point game. So they still had a chance. And I think Lasal just won by 3 or something. So they could have tied the game, send it to double overtime, but they didn't make it. But ayun, so I just want to give props to you. We rarely talk about them, or we rarely watch them. This is the first time I watched a UE game that wasn't against Ateneo, admittedly. So I'm happy I did. Good try, UE. Better luck again next time. But I'm picking you guys. I'm picking them as game of the week.
There's something about Lasal though. In the first game of the season, they played well against Lasal.
It was a close game.
Yeah.
And now their other game, they played Lasal. They almost beat Lasal. Siguro they wish they could play Lasal in every game.
Baka si
a lot of
well, yeah.
Yun yung gusto. A lot of their threes talaga, di ba, got in. I think that's what made it also hard for Lasal to catch up. Kasi yung runs nila, grabe din. Parang they're letting it fly. And I remember parang dun sa highlights na yun, first quarter ng Lasal was 9. Imagine.
Yeah, 20-9. And Boom Gonzalez was on the call, or was it Boom Gonzalez or Nico Ramos, was shocked. He said it on the call. Yung sabi ni Boom, Lasal only putting up 9 points in the first quarter. He was shocked. Siguro as a Lasalista himself, parang, what the hell is happening? Why are we down 20-9 to UE?
I think, you know what, ang maganda dun sa game, that's why they kept it close and that's why they led most of the time. Maganda yung defense nila eh. anong defense ba yun, Gab? Like, it's a zone, it's a weird zone defense. May na-mention ni Boom and ni Willie Wilson but hindi ako familiar masyado. But they had good defense. And si Jamaica is known as a defensive coach.
Yeah.
So I think he really game planned for it. The only reason they lost really is they couldn't rebound the ball. Puro second chance points, second, third, fourth. Whenever Lasal kept missing, but they kept rebounding the ball. So that's where they lost. And maliit talaga sila, I mean, compared to Lasal. Diba?
Yeah. So good choices for games of the week. I can't believe no one picked the NU versus FEU game on April 21. Well, there were a lot of good games.
Ang dami nga
second
pagpipilian.
There were a lot of good games. But
nasa finalist sila.
For me, the NU versus FEU game, I was eating lunch. Then when Cyrus Torres got the ball back and hit a 3, munti ka na ako ma-choke kasi that game was amazing. Shout out to Jan Felicilda who went toe-to-toe with both LJ Gonzalez and Ron J. Abarientos. You picked him for what? Rookie of the year?
Rookie of the year.
Dark horse rookie of the year.
Yeah, yes.
If he was in a different class, like if he came in next year, I think he would.
Yeah.
Ang galing niya, grabe.
Ang galing niya talaga.
Parang breakout game ba to or something. Nagpakilala talaga si Sir.
Yeah, as in he went toe-to-toe, as in nagsasagutan sila ni LJ sa kanila. 2 versus 1 and wow, I was so impressed with Jan Felicilda. Can you imagine yung lineup ng NU Bullpups sa high school?
Oo nga
kaya si Felicilda yung backup nila to Portea and Abadiano. Wow! Grabe! And Cyrus Torres, man, the balls of this guy.
I love this guy. Yeah.
He'll just launch it. And my other note for this game, and perhaps for FU in general, I really think they underutilize si Ojula. He's a really skilled basketball player. I mean, for a foreign student athlete, I mean, most foreign student athletes that come here are big guys and they're usually raw. Diba?
Athletic.
They're athletic, they're big, they're taught to play basketball, but they're raw. This guy, he's been playing basketball siguro since he was a kid. His form is good. He can hit his free throws. He kept FEU in this game. Hitting free throws, getting rebounds, blocking shots. I just think they should run more offense through him. I was messaging you guys about Sam, especially when he's in the post, good things happen to FEU. As in, either he gets fouled or they find an open shooter or an open cutter. So I just think they should run more off. We said this in our I think our opening episode.
Last episode.
One of our previous episodes that they should run more offense through Ojula.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to bring that up na I think it was the very first episode, Gab, na sinabi mo na Ojula needs to get more touches. Just to add, he can also play make. Maganda, marunong siya pumasa. He can find the open man. Yung cutters. So, and FU has a lot of cutters. So, sobrang okay. And I agree with you. I think it was Ojula who kept them all throughout the game. The guards, LJ and RJ, were inconsistent at best. And then Torres saved the day with that 3.
Yung confidence niya, no? I think parang they were also saying this in the call na pretty much the same spot. He missed the first one and then he got the ball back and he just let it fly.
And
the confidence. Yep. The trust
and
also.
The trust of who was passing the ball?
LJ.
RJ. Si LJ, parang sige, yung itira mo, 'di ba? Yung that's trust. Yung from
ride or die, bro.
Yeah.
Shooters gonna shoot.
Yeah. Yep. FEU. I love watching them play because they're just drive and kick, pick and roll, and then shoot. But I think they should run more offense through Ojula. Anyway, so on to our second question. That was a great discussion. And anyway, on to our second question. There have been a lot of players who don't get a lot of attention, or who don't get a lot of shine, but have contributed to their teams in the first four games of the second round. So I want to ask you guys, who is an unsung hero from any of the UAP teams so far in this second round? Someone who just doesn't score a lot of points, or maybe doesn't get a lot of minutes, or we don't even know who he is or who he was, but you think plays an important role for their team. Okay, while you're thinking, yung I'm gonna put someone out there. So I'm gonna go back to Adamson, who is still undefeated. I'm gonna go to Pong Zaldivar. We don't talk about, well, we just talked about him now, but in our previous episodes, we did not talk about Pong Zaldivar whatsoever. But here's my case for Pong Zaldivar. He has basically benched Duanga, or I don't know if he was injured, but no, he's National last bench Duanga. He's put in Zaldivar and played Cedric Baby Boy.
Baby boy,
Yung Baby
Manzano.
Boy more, yeah, yung
Manzano.
Baby Boy more minutes and space the floor so that Jerome Lastimosa will have more space. And it's effective because Pong Zaldivar is a good shooter. Have you even noticed him? He's like 6'5", 6'6",
Malaki siya.
and he can
Malaki
shoot.
siya.
Yeah, he's big and he can shoot.
Undersized for a center, pero malaki din. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
sorry.
uh, and he shoots them. As in, no hesitation.
Yeah.
He shoots them when he gets it. He's open, and he's almost always open, and he hits his shot. I think in the game on, was it Thursday or Tuesday, when they went up against UP, he hit a big three because he's a big guy. He's out there. He's being guarded by, I think, Diouf or Carl Tamayo. So they were guarding him, and he just launched it and hit it. Uh, I love that this guy is confident in shooting his threes. He doesn't hit many of them. Not a lot of plays are run for him, but when he gets the ball, he hits the shot and he spaces the floor for Jerome Lastimosa, which is why I love this guy, Pong Zaldivar. Uh, unsung hero for me. With no one talks about Pong Zaldivar. Apparently, he's from high school ata. Baby
Ng,
Falcon. So
ng Adamson.
so he's homegrown. Galing.
Yeah. For me,
So,
dalawa.
okay.
And medyo homer picks siya. James Spencer and Noah Webb. So from UP. I think this is also an obvious answer for me because if you've been following the team for maybe 3 to 4 years, dun mo makikilala lang naman si Spencer at saka si Webb and their holdovers from some of the not so good years of UP, but they get what 5, 10, 15 minutes sa ata yung pinaka matagal na nilaro nung
Yeah.
one of the two guys, but every time they're in, the crowd gets hyped. Parang they come in and they give the energy and they know how
Yes.
to play up the UP crowd because we've been with them for so long, it feels like. And there are a lot of new players, diba? And there are a lot of transfers in the team right now. So these two familiar names, I think they're very important in getting that connection between the fans and the team. Because coming into the season, not just this round, parang ang mga napapag-usapan talaga is si Cancino, di ba? Who's
Yeah.
not really from UP, di ba? And Richie, he's also not, he's from LaSalle. So parang yung ties ba? I don't know. It's such an
Yeah.
emotional thing, I guess, this answer. But when we see those two guys on the bench or on the floor and we see them not just hyping but also giving their all with just the minutes that they're given, that for me is something that we carry on to the whole game and it keeps us pumped. Kita nyo ba yung mga
Yeah.
close-ups kay Noah Webb every time
Yeah.
hina-hype niya
And
si Save or si Carl. Oh my
that's been
gosh.
his role since he came into the
Yes,
team, diba?
exactly.
And he's a team
And
captain.
yep,
Isn't he?
he
Yeah.
is. He is this year. And James Spencer also, even from last season, I think he continues his role. Medyo on the defense siya. Mas pinapasok siya doon. Ang gulo niya lagi, ganyan. And if he needs to press, he presses. Masipag. Masipag to si James Spencer. And side chika, mabait tong si, I mean, medyo mabait from the encounters that we've had with the fans. Ano siya talaga, kahit may pila ng nagpapa-selfie kay James Spencer, ay, iti-take niya yan isa-isa. So, those two guys for me are
Ah.
unsung heroes of the team.
Hottie of the UAAP ba si James Spencer?
Pwede. Nasa ano yan?
He's
Nasa
from
top 10.
New Zealand ba? New Zealand or Australia or something?
Hindi,
Or British?
parang Australia.
Australia. Okay. Basta alam ko may accent yung
May accent
English
si
niya.
Sir.
Yeah.
Oo.
Okay, sige. This is hard for me. I could have gone like different routes, but we sort of have talked about it. I've talked about Baby Boy, Cedric Manzano. So I really like him for Adamson. He comes off the bench, he's solid. We just talked about Felicilda and Torres for NU and FEU. So obviously Felicilda is a rookie. So we didn't know much about him, pero I've always been impressed with him. So I chose him as my dark horse rookie of the year over Carl Tamayo and RJ Abarientos. Medyo tanga lang, pero okay. And then we talked about Torres, no? So I picked him before as a baller because talagang shooter siya. He can kill you with his threes. So I don't know why, but I had to pick a homer player. So I'm actually picking Gio Chu from Ateneo. So
Pwede.
I think this guy improved a lot this season versus his last season. Leaps and bounds. May kita mo yung improvement niya probably from the Gilas training. Because he didn't get to play that much, I think, sa Gilas din. But the training probably paid off. Kasi just watching him today, and I think the other game last Thursday, he scored 14 points, and then today he had like 9. He has really good footwork now. Galing niya mag-up and under yung fakes niya. Kanina is like there was a play na nag-fast break tas nag-rim run siya, like he just went straight down the court tas siya yung nag-finish doon. He can finish now. Before he couldn't finish, he didn't have that much of a soft touch. And I think most importantly, what frustrated me about Gio Chu before was people could push him around before. Now, I remember every time ipasok talaga siya for garbage minutes before, matutumba siya. Guaranteed in every game matutumba siya. And people like to pick on him. But ngayon, he doesn't let people like push him around now. He's the guy that pushes other people around. And sometimes nga, medyo may init ulo niya and he gets into trouble. But I think...
ano na siya? Ape Bon ba siya?
But as in, and he makes his free throws, by the way. Like he has a soft touch with free throws. He's a better free throw shooter, I think, than Kwame, although Kwame takes more. But I think it's something that we haven't talked about. But probably one of the reasons why Ateneo is so good now is we have a decent backup or a solid backup center to Kwame. Like earlier today, Kwame got into foul trouble early, but Gio Chu did really well to replace Kwame, and I think he was part of the that run that built the big lead. So it's something that we probably don't notice. He doesn't play that many minutes, pero I think he's so crucial to Ateneo because I think Gab brought this up already before na hindi malaki ang Ateneo. Once Ange Kwame gets into foul trouble, the only legit solid center you have is Gio Chu. So he has to play well or else it's going to be small ball for Ateneo. Like, sino na yung next man up dun? Si Davis?
Si Daves.
Si Dave. Oh, yun. So, yeah. So, I think we need to give Gio Chu credit. Actually, if we were going to do Baller of the Week, I was gonna pick him as Baller of the Week for this week.
Sakto. I actually love that pick, because it segues perfectly into my next question for you guys. So
Ka.
we've oh what oh
Hindi. Baka
uh
mamaya nasagot ko yung answer ko
no
a
no no
question too early.
Ulitin mo na lang daw.
Oo
no
nga.
no
Oh, yeah.
actually,
Go,
because
go.
uh we've talked about we've talked a lot about the Gilas bump. We've seen players in the UAAP who are excelling, who we've seen in the senior team of Team Pilipinas. We have Carl Tamayo, RJ Abarientos, who else? The Ateneo boys, the whole Ateneo team who's in Gilas. Who else who was in Gilas? Basta, yun.
Balti.
Balti, who's getting a bump. So I want to ask you guys if there was one or maybe two players who you would see who you would like to see crack the senior team for Gilas Pilipinas, and why? Why would you want to see? Like, what's their role gonna be? What's their contribution? Can they play in the international game? So, well, who's that player? Who's the next guy to go into Gilas? Who you would like to see go into Gilas? Okay, while you think about it, I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna state the obvious. It's Cyrus Torres. Uh, we've talked about this guy, and the skill is obvious. He's a shooter. We need shooters. In the if we it is the reason why we want players like Marshall Lassiter to play in Gilas, because he's a shooter. We want guys like Von Pesumal, if ever he gets called up to play in Gilas, because he can shoot. And if you can't shoot in the international uh, game, you cannot win. And we're not big, quote unquote. Well, we have Ange and Kai Soto, but we're not big. So we need guys who can shoot. I think Cyrus Torres has good height. I think he's around 6'2", 6'3". He can move, he can defend, and he can shoot, and he's fearless. So I think if we're gonna have a cadet pool again, if we're gonna send some younger players again to compete internationally, I think Chotres or whoever's gonna be the Gilas program head will have to seriously consider Cyrus Torres to be in the senior team.
Good pick. Actually, he was my pick also. I think you mentioned he was part of the under 18 Gilas team before. So
Under 18.
he has some international experience. I think he will translate really well, and I just really like guys who are just calm and easygoing when they're playing, and that's why I really like Cyrus Torres, because he doesn't really react that much when he's playing, whether he's down or he's making like 8 3-pointers. He doesn't really react that much, or when he hits a game winner. So I really love this guy. I've been talking about him, I think, in every podcast or in every episode. I always talk about him. I think it's really Cyrus Torres for me. If I had to pick someone else, just off the top of my head, maybe Kurt Lohera. I don't know. Kurt Lohera,
Yeah.
I think I like him. I think I mentioned before na I underrated this guy. Akala ko talaga defensive wing lang siya na medyo may onting three. But he can really score.
He can.
He's not just a 3-point shooter. He's not just a 3-and-D guy. He can drive to the basket. And I think favorite niya yung mga mid-range jump shots niya. He can handle the ball well also, and he has decent height. Plus, he's really a good defensive player. Like kanina, he had a crucial block from a 3-point attempt ata. So I sort of like really love this guy from LaSalle. So
Yes.
I'd like to see him try. He'd probably play like a guard or off guard kasi he's not that tall, but I think he can handle it.
Same players tayo sa amin. He was my runner-up, Kurt Lohera, because you know what I love about him? He will play a role. Alam mo yun, he could easily say na, screw you, Shawnee Winston, Nonoy, and Nele. I'm good enough to score 20 points a game on this team. I'll do it. But no, he plays the distributor role. He plays the lockdown defender role. He has good instincts. I love this guy. Saying I love this guy to a Lasallian
LaSalle
hurts me,
player,
but
yeah.
Parang medyo
but
consistent ka, no? In every episode. You're kind of giving love talaga. Iba yung effect ni VP Lenny. Radical
Yes.
Oo nga
magmahal.
eh.
Radical.
Radical magmahal.
Diba?
I love it. I love
Oo
it.
nga
Radical.
eh.
Diba?
Outmahalin
It's the theme of the
lahat.
On
season.
brand.
Pero yeah,
Anyway,
I think,
Dale.
yeah. Sorry, just to close that,
Ay,
I think
okay.
to
Go,
your
Sam.
point, I think what we both like about Torres and Lohera is they both know their roles. They're not like superstars.
Exactly.
They know their roles and they'll play it really well. Go ahead, Tail. Sorry.
Yeah, so medyo, I guess, since pareho kayong role players, I guess, yung pinili dun sa both teams, I kind of want to see Lucero or Lastimosa try and be part of the team. Both guys, so starting with Lastimosa, parang iba, 'di ba kanina pa natin pinag-uusapan, iba yung confidence niya. And I think hindi to matatakot pagdating sa Gilas, and he will shoot it like crazy. I think he's ready for the big stage. Siguro he needs a bit more work on the defensive side, but there are other players within Gilas who can fit into that role. But with Jerome Lastimosa, parang we need people who will run and we need people who will shoot and
And
not
he
be
needs to
afraid
bulk
to
up.
shoot.
He needs to bulk up because he will get bullied in
Yeah.
international play.
Yeah, so, pero yung, alam mo yun, parang you know that he's gonna do his part just in terms of the type of offense the quantity that you need from him, it will be there. And then with Save Lucero also, I'm not sure kung anong height ni Sir, pero I think he's lanky enough to try and, you know, parang makipagbakbakan ng slight even in the post but also in the perimeter. Obviously you have to guard him. You can't back out of him because you know he has a shot. So I think with the way Save is playing, even if he's not putting up the numbers right now in this round, parang this past couple of games, diba, hindi naman siya masyadong hindi siya yung top scorer, but he still contributes. So I feel like hindi siya yung tipong porket wala siyang touches, wala na siyang mako-contribute sa game. I think he's the type of player who will be able to study whatever role is given to him and then do it well. Feeling ko okay siyang student, very coachable, it seems.
He's
like.
doing it now, actually. I watched UP a while ago. They don't run a play for Zave Lucero. They run plays actually for Kagulangan,
For Carl.
Tamayo. Yeah, and a lot of plays for Carl Tamayo. And they don't run plays for Zave. He reminds me of Scotty Thompson. Alam mo yun, they don't run plays for Scotty. He just gets putbacks. He just waits in the dunker spot. And yeah, I think it's consistent with all three of us. Players who know how to fill in a role, diba? Especially
because with
when you're
Gilas, parang you kind of know na who will be the superstar of that roster, diba? So you need the other players talaga to do well in whatever role that will be given to them. Very, very specific lagi pag sa Gilas yung sa role players.
Yeah. Is he eligible though? This is safe.
Actually, I was gonna say, would you know? Would anyone know?
Well, hindi ko sure.
I'm not
So,
sure.
dapat meron siyang
Walang Google
passport
to. Walang
before
Google.
16.
So.
Yeah, yun nga eh. That's the hard part eh. Yeah, he's good, but can he play? Damn it.
Pero
Oh,
I also like the Lastimosa pick. I think Puso, siya yung tipong someone who
yeah.
personifies Puso.
I think if you put him there, the Filipino fans would get behind him. You know, he's someone
Exactly.
that if he hits a big three,
Yeah.
people will go crazy. I mean, he's just like uh, Terence Romeo or diba
Sa akin,
yung
mas pingris ko siya naisip eh. Na parang may mga
yeah.
shots siya minsan na, oh no, 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 oh yes! May mga ganun si Pingris dati na parang, bakit mo ititira? Pero napasok niya, di ba? And you still love the guy. So
Yeah.
feeling ko he can be that role for Gilas.
Nice. Great answers, guys. Anyway, since we're moving on into the last stretch of the UAAP regular season, the elimination round, uh, there are there's 3 game days times 4, so that's 12 games left. So if you have the schedule in front of you, which game are you most looking forward? No, sorry, I have to I have to correct myself. Aside from the Ateneo UP game, which game which game are you most looking forward to? Bawal yung Ateneo UP because we all know we're all looking forward to Ateneo versus UP. Bawal yun. Okay. Who wants to get it
Sayang.
started? No, that's a cop out. No. So, who wants to get it started?
I
Sorry,
like the
yung schedule ba
DLSU.
nasa natin? Nasa slides natin. Okay, teka, quick look,
Wow.
quick check.
Naku,
Go
na-reveal
lang,
mo
go
na
lang,
may
go lang.
slides tayo kasi we're trying to be professionals, guys.
Go Dale. You were saying the DLSU
Yeah.
versus
The DLSU versus FEU nga ba to? Wait lang. Yeah,
yeah,
that
that's
one.
on Tuesday.
The DLSU FEU game. I'm looking forward to that kasi obviously with FEU trying to secure their spot in the Final Four, they will do everything to win that game. Parang must win na nga ito for FEU, for NU, and Adamson. So hopefully hindi ko na-steal yung answer ni Sam while he's looking at the schedule. But that one, yung first one, I think, because that's an early game. Tuesday na agad yun. So I feel like if FEU wins this will be a great momentum going into their next 2 games. And I think dun sa game na to, we will see a statement game from from their shooters, from Abarrientos or from LJ, or maybe even from Cyrus. Sana hindi ko ma-jinx, pero I'm predicting a lights out game from any of those 3 guys. So I'm very excited, very hyped for this game. And DLSU also um, I think they have crucial things to learn from this week, from their games that they've lost and the games that they've won. And maybe this will be a litmus test for them also. So that one, plus, of course, the UP game.
Bawal yan. Sam,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, good choice, Dale. I'm going to take the game after I think I messaged you guys sa Telegram after Adamson noon. Sabi ko, kinakabahan na ako sa Adamson
Same
kasi
pick.
sobrang confident na nila and they're on a winning streak. They're not afraid to anyone. They're not afraid of anyone and they have nothing to lose. So I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm more of like nervous about the Ateneo versus Adamson game kasi it's the 2 teams with the longest winning streak now, I think. Kasi UP lost, La Salle also lost. So it's the 2 hottest teams. We could say that. I think it's fair enough to say that they're the 2 hottest teams. So that could be an interesting game. And just like what Dale mentioned, I think Adamson and FEU, they're really going to go all out in the remainder of their games kasi it's really going to be a battle till the end for the 4th place. So whether Ateneo yan o UE, I think Adamson will go all out.
Then you have to look at the other games kasi, like kunwari, for FEU. FEU will be facing, so Lasal. So parang yun yung mas, I think may pinakamalaking chance sila to win. And then FEU UST, parang alam mo na yung mangyayari dyan. They will probably win that game. And then FEU Ateneo, they might lose that game. So for me, crucial yung sa Lasal. And then with looking at Sam's pick din, parang ganun, they're on the same boat. Adamson is on the same boat na Adamson Ateneo and then Adamson DLSU. Yun feeling ko, diba? Baka may chance sila manalo. And then Adamson UE, parang kaya na nila with the type with how they're playing. So agree din ako dun sa pick ni Sam. Parang it's something to watch out for. Pretty much must-win games for those teams.
I'm definitely watching that. The Ateneo Adamson one. Oh my God, kakabahan ako. But I trust the Tab Baldwin magic to get us through and to shut down Jerome Lastimosa. Oh my God, kakabahan ako.
I'm worried. This is
Oh,
our fault, Gab, kasi we kept cheating for Adamson. This is our fault. So,
right.
Yung picks natin, going back to the first episode, we were
God.
also high on
Radical
Adamson.
magmahal, Sam. Radical
Fine.
magmahal. Mahal natin ng Adamson. So
Fine.
anyway, for our last question for this episode, I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball. Well, not sort of a curveball, but we highlighted UE for probably the first time in Boleros history in this week's episode. We talked about them a while ago. So now I will go back to UE because
Okay.
it has been let's just say a disappointing season for the UE Red Warriors. So they will not be competing for a Final Four slot. I think that's given already. Uh, they have been tumultuous to say the least with their coach, their players, and everything. So going, this is looking forward already for the UE Red Warriors. If you were a coach or a program head or something, one of the admins for UE for this basketball program, what would you change going into season 85?
They need size. Well,
Recruitment.
diba? I obviously hindi mo naman mapapahaba yung mga players ngayon, but they badly need size.
Yes.
Maybe a more reliable center and more yung sa what do you call this? Power forwards siguro mas on the higher than average yung height than the other teams. Because with the LSU game, I think meron akong I forget lang kung kaninong tweet, sorry. So hindi ko na buong tweet ilalagay, but the person showed the photo of how long the other players are. Parang may close up sila with how they were being defended by Lasal. Parang wala na silang nakikita talaga. As in parang yung tweet, parang puro kilikili lang daw yung nakikita ng players. Sobrang tawan-tawa ako dun sa tweet na yun. Sorry, hindi ko maalala lang kung kanino. Hindi ko siya ma-shoutout. But it's super true for their whole roster. It will be hard for them to compete if they don't have the size. Especially now, looking at the roster of the other teams for next year, diba? You will still see the likes of Carl Tamayo and si Mamu gagraduate na, diba? Confirmed na to. Sabi niya, guys.
Yes, yes.
Yung mga ganun lang, parang those heights, hindi ka talaga mahirap makita yung basket. So, they just need to recruit someone with size, regardless kung center or forward. They need to improve their front court, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're getting pounded on
Yeah.
inside and
Yeah.
getting out rebounded at almost every game.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you have? What advice can you give to the UE Red Warriors for next season or maybe in the coming seasons?
Okay, so yeah, I think the obvious one was to get taller. Although may napansin naman ako sa bench na mukhang import, so probably maybe
Nasa
he's
bench
just
siya, wala siyang impact doon kung wala siya sa court.
Hindi, ibig sabihin maybe he's just redshirting for season
Yeah,
84,
maybe,
but he might
maybe.
join in season
Hopefully.
85. So hopefully that will shore up their big men lineup. Pero for me, I'm thinking more long term, no? So I think I realized, parang nakita ako sa TV, correct me if I'm wrong, parang UE ata yung most championships in the
Yeah,
UAAP or something like
yeah.
that. Tama ba
Under
yun,
David
Gab?
Dalupan. Under
Okay,
David
okay.
Dalupan, yes.
So I think for me, for UE, I'm going to pattern it after Ateneo na it's about developing their players from high school pa lang. I think long term na parang try to develop your players from high school and build that program. And try to sell UE as, yun nga, the winningest team in the UAAP before, and try building a program talaga and thinking long term. Kasi I think the problem with UE right now is it's easy to say na they should recruit. Pero if you're a zero and if you're a team that didn't win a game in the last season and you're a really good player, would you want to go to UE, diba? Parang you want to go to Ateneo because you want to be coached by Tab Baldwin, or you want to go to UP because it's UP. It's, supposedly the best school in the Philippines. Yung mga ganong schools, it's so easy to recruit. Or you want to go to LaSalle or UST because they have a very good sports program na established, and you are guaranteed that you will be supported all throughout. UP has the history, UE has the history, but nobody wants to go there now. So I think for you to sort of like strengthen the team, start from your high school team. Parang Ateneo, Gab, di ba?
Yeah.
This team is probably like
Okay.
the team with the most juniors players
Blue
from
Eaglets,
Ateneo,
yeah.
Blue Eaglets, 'di ba? And nakita mo yung effect na from high school pa lang talagang na-develop na sila, and they were prepared to play for the seniors. I think for UE, they should start there. And once na-develop talaga, so they recruit high school pa lang and develop those players and get them to go to UE seniors. Once they become more relevant or more credible, then it will be easier to recruit, because now you can sell the past, yung achievements ng UE in the past, and then also show them like a pretty solid team that's been developed since high school. No? So I think they have to think long term. Kasi ang dami na nilang coaching changes, ang dami na nilang ginawa.
Yeah.
It's really just hard to just say na we'll recruit, But I think getting like a foreign player to add size would also help talaga. Definitely.
Agree with both your points. And just to piggyback off your recommendation for them, Sam, I think the first step for UE is to hire a coach and ensure his job security. No, here I searched for this a few weeks back. There has not been a coach who has coached more than 2 seasons since the Dindo Pamarin years back in
Wow.
season 67 to season 71.
Anong year yun?
Tagal na nun.
It was during the 5-peat
Poly?
Ateneo.
Poly
Poly.
years? Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Well, there has not been a coach who has stayed more than 2 or 3 seasons in UE. I think Dindo Pamarin was changed to Jericho Deniera. They went back to Boise Summer, but he only stayed like 2 seasons. Then Joe Silva, Coach Joe,
And then Pamarin.
who only stayed for 1 season.
One season.
I think unconfirmed, pero I think yung napolitika siya doon and was kicked out. And then Derek Pumaren then went to Bongtan, God rest his soul. And then now they went to Jack Santiago, and now it's Jamaica. So they've had so many
pa yun, May
yeah.
pa yun.
They've had so many coaches, and it's so hard to create a program, Sam.
A program, yeah.
it's so hard to create a program, and it's so hard to create a culture within a basketball team kung paiba-iba yung man at the helm. Because in the college ranks, yung madali lang, hindi pwede na star player because they're eventually gonna graduate. It has to be a coach or a program head, whatever. And it's so hard to recruit also, diba? Isipin mo mag-recruit ka pero the next year yung baka wala ka na as coach. So kung ikaw yung player, what yung I committed to playing for him, yung why am I playing for a different coach?
Right,
Diba?
that's true. That's a good point.
Diba? So it's pretty hard.
Parang the 3 points that we've raised, parang they all line up na first do what Gab said, and then recruit what I said, and then kay Sam.
Diba?
Build the program. Yeah.
And you know, if ever Coach Jamaica is gonna stick to this program, which I hope they do. I mean, from Jamaica has a great resume. He's loved by his players, and his playing style you might not exactly be the prettiest to watch, but he's a coach with a resume, with character, someone who will imbibe in these players the right values. Mahirap eh. When I looked at the history, they have not made the Final Four in this decade, in the past decade, and moving into the current one. They have not made the Final Four, so it's been a long-standing problem. It's just so hard to have stability when you keep on changing coaches every season or every 2 seasons. So, yun. And it'll be easier to recruit nga, di ba?
That's true.
If you have a coach.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Tama ka. It starts with the coach. Tama. That's a good point. But I think si Dale is sort of like happy na medyo ganito yung UE kasi kung hindi dati before UE, UP yung ganito, di ba? Like UP yung papalit-palit ng coaches, UP yung
all of the problems that we
bonfire pag may
mentioned.
one champion, may one win.
Yeah. Iba yung spirit eh.
So at least hindi na UP yung ganun no day.
So UE, give us mga 4 or 5 years pa.
Of good years.
So kailan magpapa-bonfire ang UE sa ito bang
wala na.
Mahirap mga
Parang
kalaban.
sa schedule, medyo
wala na, bro.
UP, NU, saka Adamson. Oh my God, mahirap. Mahirap yung mga games nila. Yung baka next year, yung baka later this year pa yung bonfire nila.
That's true.
Oh my gosh. Let's see next season, di ba? Baka makita natin yung ibang short-term changes that we've mentioned for UE.
Anyway, guys, thank you for indulging me in this episode. I think we had great discussions. And wow.
Yeah.
Good questions, Gab.
Napaisip kami. Like, di ba? It took us a while na talagang minsan ikaw na yung nauuna kasi minsan nagre-review pa kami ng notes na Sam. But great discussion. And I guess this is also the best time na for UAAP kasi Final Four is slowly forming. Obviously, Ateneo already got that twice to beat advantage. We're still waiting for if UP will clinch in their next 2 games. But 3rd, 4th spots, it's still up in the air, I think, with the schedule of games that we have. So, yun na nga, officially, we're on Final Four watch. So, guys, please stay tuned on Boleros PH. We'll be recapping all of the action that will happen leading up to the Final Four and, of course, the much anticipated playoffs. Just type Boleros PH, like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you guys will know once our episode is up. So, that's it for your Boleros. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.